I have a question for you. Do you play Overwatch? Have you ever wanted to learn Ana, but it's a little intimidating? Maybe you just started
Girl, what
playing the
the
game
fuck is you
entirely.
talking about?
Hello, my name is Kaylee, and I have over 200 levels on Ana. I used to be console grandmaster top 500, but to be honest, I have not been in the competitive scene in a while. However, I still consistently play her. I have noticed recently an influx of new Ana players in my games, specifically Mercy mains, and I wanted to make my own Ana guide video to try to help people who are interested in playing her. This video is going to be quite the long one, it looks like, so if you are looking for help in a particular area, timestamps will be on your screen. Disclaimer, this is what I've learned. These are my opinions, and I do not want correction or hate in my comment section. Please and thank you. Now, the first thing we are going to be going over are her abilities. Sleep Dart is up first. Sleep is your L1/L shift ability. Sleep is typically what attracts players to Ana. Sleep has a 14-second cooldown. When it hits a target, it puts the enemy to sleep for 5 seconds. The amount of seconds it lasts decreases to 3.5 seconds if the enemy hit is a tank or a bob. The target hit will wake up if they take any sort of damage. This includes tick damage. Sleep, like all of her other abilities, can be used either defensively or offensively. As an example for defensive use, you can use it to stop an enemy from killing either you or your teammates in dire situations. As an example for offensive use, sleep can be used to start a team fight. This can look like sleeping an enemy squishy and provoking your DPS to kill them. Now they are down one. Sleep, like Orisa Spear, Brine Charge, Cast Nade, etc., can stop any stunnable ultimate. Those are very satisfying to hit. Kitty, when you hit a sleep, it is extremely important to ping it. If you are in voice chat, you need to start screaming. Pinging, unfortunately, is not always enough. People, especially randoms, are often too entangled in their own situation to turn around to just a ping. Knowing when to run from a sleep and when to engage is also very important. If you know for sure you can't kill them alone, no matter the reason, you need to leave. Jay, you gotta move! Sleeps are good regardless of what kind of follow-up they get. Stopping someone from participating in a fight, even for just seconds, can be crucial to a team fight. Sleeps are overall not super easy to hit, especially as a beginner, but it genuinely just takes some practice. Biotic Nade is the second ability we are going to be going over. Nade is your R1/E ability, and it has a 12-second cooldown. Nade is very light and can be thrown
What
far
the fuck,
distances. This
Richard?
ability was the first introduction we ever got to anti or anti-heal. Junker Queen now also has anti-heal with her alt. I love you, Junker Queen. Please love me back. When an enemy is anti, their health bar will be outlined in purple. This causes them to not be able to be healed for 3 seconds. Nade has another cool use, actually. When Nade hits an ally, it causes their health bar to be outlined in yellow. This causes them to receive 50% more healing. This is the same effect that Wu Ying's wave gives you. Nade does 90 initial healing and damage. It can hit multiple targets and is capable of hitting enemies and allies at the same
Oh, the
time.
anti so
This makes
fat.
it an extremely good ability for
Oh my
grouping alts
god.
like Zarya Grav, Orisa Surge, Freya's Bola, etc. Defensively, Nade is usually splashed on a teammate or teammates to keep them up. The 50% more healing makes a huge difference. Do not be ashamed to use it defensively on just one target, especially if it's you or your tank. Offensively, Nade can be used many ways. A couple of my favorites are anti in the backline, primarily their supports, or just their tank. Tanks like Roadhog, Mauga, and Reinhardt are commonly the most affected by anti. This is because Mauga and Roadhog both heavily rely on their own healing abilities to stay up. Reinhardt, on the other hand, usually needs a lot of healing to stay up, in my opinion, just a little bit more than the average tank. So when Reinhardt gets antied, he usually dies. Now it's time for Nano Boost. Sorry, that was kind of violating to your ears, I'm sure. This was the thing I was most excited to talk about. Nano is Ana's ultimate ability. You can use Nano by using triangle/Q. Nano is an ultimate that I would say charges pretty fast. Nano can be used on one target at a time and cannot be shot through walls. It gives the ally affected 250 health on impact, 50% more defense, and 50% more damage output for 8 seconds. These effects make this ultimate the enabling ultimate. Default Nano does not have a confirmation. This, especially as a beginner, makes it really likely to nano the wrong target. There is thankfully a setting that will turn on nano confirmation. I use this and I highly recommend it. Defensively, nano can be used to save teammates in tough situations, then enabling them to push if comfortable enough to do so. Offensively, nano can be used to push and or ultimate combo. A few of my favorite ultimate combos are Nano Blade, Nano Blossom, Nano Surge, and Nano Overclock. Of course, there are many more awesome combos, but those are some good starters. When to actually use nano is more of an instinct and requires a general understanding of the game. So here are some of my do's and don'ts. Don't nano someone while they are antied. Don't nano someone defensively if you know they'll die anyway. Don't nano someone if you think they'll die before they get it. Nanos do have a travel time. Don't hold on to nano for long periods of time. Don't nano someone too far away or already leaving the fight. Do nano someone with a damaging ult or just good stats in general. Do watch allies cooldowns so that you know you can nano them when they have their abilities. Do communicate when and who you're nanoing. Do ask that person if they want nano if there's time. Some people just freeze up completely when they get nano and absolutely do not want it. Trust me though, there are plenty of people that will want it. In my opinion, it's totally fine to nano your other support if the situation calls for it, just don't let it happen all the time. They are usually not the best target. I like prioritizing my nanos for tanks, but it's not a necessity. One more thing, when it's overtime, you just have to nano someone. Better to have died nanoing your Zen than died not using your ultimate at all. Perks are next on the list. In my opinion, 3 out of 4 of her perks are worth it. Starting with her minor perks, we have Groggy. This perk makes an enemy waking up from sleep dart slowed and they take 50 damage over the course of 2 seconds. Speed Serum is the other perk that gives you and your nano target 30% movement speed. So when should you pick what? Both are amazing perks. I think the best way to explain when to use these is by situation. Groggy, in my opinion, is better for solo queuers. Groggy allows you to be able to follow up on your sleeps better. Like I said previously, randoms don't have the best reputation for being good at sleep follow-ups. This is mostly the case in quick play. Competitive players, at least in the higher ranks, tend to be better at it. So when you are in a situation where you need help and no one is there or they get there late, Groggy helps guarantee the kill. I typically don't get Groggy when I'm playing with friends because they are already good at watching me and with sleep follow-ups. However, your group might not be the same. I like Speed Serum because it's fun for my friends. I get to not only nano them, but I get to give them a speed boost. I get it so often for them now that they are used to the way the speed feels and usually expect it. This is especially good because one of my best friends is a Reinhardt main. Speed Serum can also help you get out of situations, so it's not just for players in groups. Take this with a grain of salt and definitely try both perks. You might find you like one more than the other regardless of your situation. It's time for major perks. First is Biotic Bounce. Bounce makes nade bounce an extra time, causing 60 damage and or healing if it lands on someone. Headhunter allows Ana to critically hit enemies. In my opinion, I think that Headhunter is always the better option. I feel this way for a couple of reasons. First of all, there is no guarantee that the second nade splash will hit. Second of all, Ana's crit hits are really unnecessarily powerful. You might be thinking to yourself, I'm not good at hitting critical shots. And I have a counter to that. I didn't feel like I would be good at it either, especially since it was already ingrained in me to not have to try to hit critical shots on Ana. However, the amount of times I've accidentally hit headshots is crazy. Even if you don't hit many accidental shots, I recommend practicing. Like I said previously, experiment with these perks and don't take my word for it completely. You might end up preferring Biotic Bounce. It's not necessarily a bad perk, it's just not the best one in my experience. The next thing I want to go over is positioning and or angles. Positioning, as I'm sure you know, is super important no matter the character you are on. Ana is a tiny bit less straightforward because she's a sniper and she's slow as hell. On Ana, you typically want to be pretty far back. However, it is possible to be way too far back. Unfortunately, I see this happen often. It's all about being close enough to your team, possibly in the position to get some good antis, but Also, be far away enough to not be an obvious target. Ideally, you want to be on high ground if there is a good spot available. High ground is not always going to be the play, though. This is especially true if they have hit scan that are picking at you. Ultimately, your positioning will depend on three main things: where your team is, where the enemy team is, and where the choke is. In my opinion, that's roughly the order of importance. Playing right behind your team is also an option. I typically find myself starting fights on high ground or far back. However, there will often be team fights where you will have to drop or get closer because your team needs you to be more aggressive. Imagine defense midtown. This can look like taking high ground, then dropping midway through the team fight because your tank is low and your shots are too far to hit them in a timely manner to keep them up. Keep in mind that you shoot quicker when unscoped, and the animation to switch between the two can cost vital time. Some tanks, in my experience, are easier to play aggressive Ana with. I find that these tanks are usually shield characters. Shield tanks that provide cover and are somewhat aggressive make it easier to play risky. This is partly because natural cover becomes something that you don't have to rely on so heavily anymore. One of the bigger things about Ana's positioning is that you need to be in your spot / leave risky areas before you think that you need to. The enemy team is very aware that you are on Ana, and they probably are aware of the last spot you were in. Keep your eyes open and move around when you can. Angles for Ana are a bit easier to explain. A good rule of thumb for most support comps when it comes to angles is to be at a different angle than your other support. This ensures you guys can cover as much ground as possible. In some situations, that's not always easy, so just try doing that when you can. Now, when should you play Ana? Like every other character, she can be forced into any comp or map, but as a beginner, it might be a bit more difficult. I'm going to go over a few things that might help you decide when to play her. For me personally, I don't care to play Ana on Control or Flashpoint. Control maps tend to be a bit congested, and Flashpoint maps have long walks. This does not mean that she can't work or is not good on these maps, but I find she's easier on hybrid, payload, or push maps. Whether or not either teams are dive is another factor. Going against characters like Winston, Genji, Tracer, etc. can be pretty rough. This also depends if you have a dive countering type support that's protecting you, like Brig, Mizuki, Lucio, etc. Your other support isn't the only part of your team that can protect you from dive, but they're probably the most likely. What about when your team is playing dive? Ana can work with a dive team, but she's a lot more viable and a lot more useful if she has some sort of speed or transportation. This can look like Jetpack Cat, Lucio, Juno, or Mizuki. Like I said previously, going against tanks like Mauga and Roadhog are great for Ana. Her anti-ability really screws up their survivability. When it comes to characters that can cleanse anti, like Lifeweaver and Kiriko, you just have to be mindful of when they use their abilities. Lifeweaver can only life grip to cleanse one person at a time, so it's not a huge deal. Kiriko's Suzu, on the other hand, is more harmful for Ana. So what I do is I sleep someone, wait for them to get Suzu'd, then I anti. Sleep Dart can be used as bait. You'd be surprised how many Kiriko's Suzu sleeps for no reason. I also tend to want to play Ana when I have a shield, like I said previously. Ana is considered a flex support, which means she can basically be played with any support, whether they are flex or main. A good rule of thumb is to try to prioritize flex with main or flex with flex. Main with main can work, but it isn't ideal and puts a bit more pressure on your team to play more passively. Main with main primarily works if the other team also has main with main or just little damage output / utility. You can really play her in any situation if you were good enough to do so. I think I touched on every point I wanted to. Keep in mind that I'm not a professional player, but I just wanted to share some thoughts. I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and I hope this helps somebody. I'll be more than willing to try to answer any questions in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye!